In a world where everything changes every second, where chaos seems to be the only constant, staying calm is no longer a choice. It's a vital necessity. Every day we face challenges that test the limits of our patience and try to steal our inner peace. But what few people know is that there is a secret to finding serenity amidst chaos. A secret that emperors, philosophers, and warriors have used for centuries. Stoicism. Have you ever felt like you're losing control? Like the pressure of life is pushing you to the limit? Now imagine, even in the most difficult situations, you remain steady. Even in the face of the greatest storms, you find a quiet strength within yourself. This is not impossible. It's real. And today I'm going to show you 7 Stoic lessons to stay calm. Lessons that will not only inspire you, but can completely change the way you face life's challenges. These lessons aren't just theoretical philosophy. They're a practical guide for you to find peace amid confusion, strength amid weakness, and calm when everything seems to be falling apart. Starting today, you'll have the power to face any situation with a clear mind and a calm heart. If you're ready to learn these secrets and live a more balanced and serene life, subscribe now to the channel and leave the keyword of this video in the comments. Serenity. Comment serenity to commit to this journey. Because true strength isn't in what happens around you, but in how you choose to react to it. Let's go. Lesson 1. The storm will pass. Imagine the moment when the sky darkens. The clouds gather and the winds begin to blow stronger and stronger. You feel the pressure, the weight in the air, and you know a storm is brewing. It's inevitable. And in our lives, storms are no different. They come without warning, bringing uncertainties, fear, and a feeling that everything is out of our control. Maybe you're going through one of these storms right now. Maybe you feel lost, overwhelmed, unable to see the end of this turbulence. Just like the storms we know, the storms of life also follow a natural cycle. They come strong, intense, sometimes devastating, but they always pass. Think for a moment. How many times have you faced something you thought was insurmountable? A challenge that seemed endless? A pain that seemed never to lessen? And yet, here you are, here and now, stronger than you were before. The storm passed, just as the one you're facing now will also pass. The Stoics knew this. They knew that life's difficulties are like the storms we see on the horizon. Inevitable? Yes, but temporary. What truly matters isn't the intensity of the winds or the darkness of the clouds. What truly matters is how you stay firm amidst it all. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, faced countless storms in his life, both internal and external. As Emperor of Rome, he dealt with wars, plagues, betrayals, but he never lost sight of this fundamental truth. Nothing lasts forever. And that's what you need to remember. At the height of the storm, when everything seems lost, when the pressure feels unbearable and fear tries to take over, that's when you must remember, this will pass. Just like all the other storms you've faced and overcome. What you're living through now, no matter how hard it is just a phase. And while you can't control the winds, you can control how you stand firm. When the rain is falling hard, when the thunder is echoing in the skies and lightning is tearing through the darkness, you have a choice. You can give in to panic, let the storm take the best of you. Or you can find calm in the midst of the chaos. You can take a deep breath and remind yourself, this will pass. Now think about what comes after the storm. The fresh air, the smell of wet earth, the clear sky appearing on the horizon. There is something profoundly beautiful and comforting in that moment of tranquility that comes after the turbulence, and so it will be with you. If you keep calm, if you remember that everything is temporary, you will feel that peace. The moment will come when you look back and realize that the storm, no matter how frightening it was just a part of your journey. The Stoics didn't believe in resisting what cannot be controlled. They believed in accepting reality with serenity, because they knew that true power lies in how you respond to adversity. The storm will pass. That's inevitable. What defines who you are, what shapes your character, is how you choose to go through it. With despair or with calm and confidence. Breathe. Feel the wind around you, but don't let it move you from your place. Remember, you've survived all the storms that came before this one, and you will survive this one too. Soon, the sky will clear, the wind will calm, and you will be stronger, more serene, wiser, And more than anything, you will have proven to yourself that the storm does not define you. What defines you is your ability to remain calm, even when everything seems to be falling apart around you. Lesson 2. The power of choosing your response. You can't control what happens around you, but you can choose how you will react. It may sound simple, but this is one of the most profound lessons Stoicism teaches us, and it's also one of the most transformative. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic sages, reminds us, it is not things that disturb us, but the judgment we make of them. Think about that. Situations themselves don't have the power to disturb us. What really affects us is the interpretation we give to those situations. When you understand this, you begin to see the world in a completely different way. You start to realize that no matter what happens outside of you, your inner self can remain calm, serene, untouched. Imagine the following scene. You're driving in traffic and suddenly someone cuts in front of you recklessly. Your heart races, your blood starts to boil. In a split second, you're ready to honk, shout, or even curse. But then you remember, I have the power to choose my response. You take a deep breath, and instead of reacting impulsively, you decide not to let that situation steal your peace. After all, what truly matters? Your calmness or that fleeting moment of irritation? This doesn't mean ignoring what's happening around you. It doesn't mean accepting injustice or just standing by with folded arms. What it means is that before anything else, you choose how you will respond. And that choice can make all the difference between a hectic life and a peaceful life. Consider a more serious situation. A big problem at work, a family argument, or unexpected painful news. Situations that, at first glance, seem completely out of your control. In these moments, it's easy to feel powerless, as if you were just a pawn in the hands of fate. But in reality, what you do from this point onward is what truly matters. You can choose to remain trapped in frustration, anger, despair, or you can decide to find serenity. It's not about denying your emotions or pretending that nothing affects you. It's about recognizing what's happening and still choosing not to be overwhelmed by it. You have the power to decide how to face each challenge. When you take this responsibility, you discover that no one and nothing can steal your inner peace. They can insult you, disappoint you, frustrate you, but your response is yours. No one can control that. This is where your true freedom lies. No matter how chaotic the world becomes, you have control over yourself. This brings us to a central idea of Stoicism. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the master of your own reactions. And this understanding brings deep peace. Not because things stop being difficult, but because you learn to deal with them differently. Not because the world around you changes, but because you change the way you see it. Think of the people you admire for their calmness, for their serenity amid difficulties. These individuals weren't born that way. They learned over time that true strength is not in controlling the outside world, but in controlling their own responses. And you can learn this too. You can train your mind to be reflective instead of impulsive, to be aware rather than reactive. Imagine a life where, even when everything seems to be falling apart, you manage to stay calm. Not by being indifferent or insensitive, but by understanding that your inner peace is too valuable to be given away to any situation. This is the peace that the Stoics sought, and it's the peace you can achieve. Lesson 3. The beauty of simplicity. In the world we live in, we are constantly bombarded with the idea that we need more. More success, more possessions, more status. We are constantly told that to be happy we must accumulate, whether it's money, material things, or even recognition. But ironically, the more we chase these things, the more overwhelmed, anxious, and distant we feel from true inner peace. The Stoics, however, teach us something completely different. They show us that true peace isn't found in having more, but in needing less. The calm we seek isn't in accumulation, noise, or rush. It is in simplicity. When we remove the excess, everything that truly matters comes into focus. Imagine for a moment an environment without distractions, without that mountain of expectations that society places upon you. A place where what you have is enough, and what you do is sufficient. Now think, what truly brings you joy? Is it the latest gadget? Is it expensive clothes, a luxury car, or likes on social media? Or does true satisfaction come from simpler things? like the warmth of the sun on a peaceful morning, an honest conversation with someone dear, or even the peace of silence. The Stoics believed that to live a full and happy life, we needed to free ourselves from this vicious cycle of always wanting more. The more we desire, the more slaves we become to our own expectations. The more we accumulate, the further we drift from the simplicity that brings calm and serenity. And this simplicity isn't about giving up everything or living in deprivation. It's about consciously choosing what is truly essential. Marcus Aurelius, the great philosopher-emperor, had at his disposal all the luxury in the world, all the power a man could desire. But he understood that the true value of life didn't lie in his possessions, but in his perspective. He wrote that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And that's what simplicity does. It gives us space to think clearly, to feel deeply, and to live with purpose. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This is powerful, because deep down, true poverty isn't the lack of material goods, but the incessant desire for more and more, which is never satisfied. When you learn to appreciate what you already have, when you understand that happiness comes from within and not from what is outside, you free yourself from this endless pursuit of more. And in that moment, you find calm. But how do you apply this lesson in today's world, where everything seems to push us toward the opposite? It starts with small choices. It starts with the act of simplifying your life. Try looking around and ask yourself, what is truly essential? What do I really need? And more importantly, what is stealing my peace? Maybe it's material things. Maybe it's unrealistic expectations you place upon yourself. Or perhaps it's the external pressure to meet standards that, deep down, aren't yours. When you simplify these demands, the burden you carry becomes lighter, and you find space to breathe, think, and live more fully. Simplicity also involves being grateful. Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a daily practice. When you begin to be grateful for what you already have, for who you already are, the need for more disappears. And that's where the miracle happens. When we stop chasing more, we begin to notice the beauty of what is already around us. When we stop comparing ourselves to others, we realize how rich we already are on our own journey. Life, as the Stoics believed, is a sum of small moments. And when you live simply, each one of those moments takes on more meaning, more color, more value, because the beauty lies in the things that can't be bought: time, love, inner peace. The calm we seek isn't hidden somewhere far away, waiting for us. It's here, now, in the simplicity of the present moment. It's in choosing to live more lightly, more consciously, more present. When you stop wanting more and start appreciating what you already have, life becomes more serene, lighter. And that's when you discover the true beauty of simplicity. Lesson 4. The transformation of pain into strength. Pain, it comes for all of us. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are. It arrives without warning, without mercy. It can come in the form of a loss, a failure, a dream that crumbles before your eyes. Pain touches us all in different ways, but the impact it leaves, oh, that is deep. Now, stop for a moment and think about all the times you faced pain in your life. All the times something or someone broke you. It could have been a loss that took the ground from under your feet, a failure that made you doubt yourself, or maybe a betrayal that shattered your trust. Each of these wounds left scars, and perhaps, until now, you've thought those scars were a sign of weakness. But what if I told you that for the Stoics, pain is the first step towards strength? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest emperors of Rome, faced pains few of us can imagine. He ruled an empire at war, dealt with political betrayals, diseases, and personal tragedies. Yet he wrote, "The obstacle in the way becomes the way." Think about that for a moment. The obstacle, the thing you believe is blocking your path, the thing that hurts you, that prevents you from moving forward, it's not the end. On the contrary, it's the way. It is through this obstacle, through this pain, that you transform. The Stoics believe that pain is an opportunity. Not an opportunity to give up, but an opportunity to grow, to strengthen. When you are in the middle of suffering, all you want is for it to end. But the truth is, what defines who you are is not the pain itself, but how you respond to it. Have you ever seen a tree after a storm? It sways, it bends, its leaves may fall, but what happens to its roots? they dig deeper. They seek even more strength to withstand the winds. And so it is with us. Every pain, every difficulty we face is a chance to deepen our roots, to become stronger than we were before. I know that when we are suffering, this idea seems distant. But stop and reflect. Think of a moment in your life when you thought you wouldn't get through it. Now look at you. You're here. You survived. And not only that, you grew. What seemed like the end of everything was, in fact, the beginning of something new. It was a lesson. And with that lesson, you became more resilient. The Stoics didn't believe in fleeing from pain. To flee would be to waste one of the greatest tools of transformation we have. Because you see, pain is not the enemy. It is the most severe, but also the most effective teacher. Pain shapes us. It challenges us, forces us to dig deeper, to discover strengths we didn't even know we had. When Marcus Aurelius says, "The obstacle in the way becomes the way," he's saying that there are no shortcuts to true strength. There is no way to avoid suffering and, at the same time, achieve true inner peace. The calm we seek, the serenity in the midst of the storm, can only be found when we stop resisting pain and start learning from it. Imagine the following. You're on a road. Ahead of you, a large rock blocks the path. You have two choices. You can stop, look at the rock, and think that your journey is over, that there's no way forward. Or you can look at that rock and realize that by climbing over this barrier, by facing this difficulty head-on, you will be closer to your destination. Every step, every effort to overcome this obstacle will be shaping you. The rock is not there to stop your progress. It's there to prepare you for what comes next. That's the Stoic mentality. We don't see pain as a curse, but as an inevitable part of life. And more than that, an essential part of our growth. We're not here to avoid pain. We're here to overcome it. We're here to turn every wound into wisdom, every fall into resilience, every failure into strength. Pain is inevitable, but the transformation it can bring, that's your choice. Will you resist, or will you let that pain make you stronger, calmer, and wiser? Lesson 5. Find strength in inner silence. Have you ever found yourself trying to focus on something important, but your mind won't stop? Those thoughts that keep repeating, going in circles. Worries, fears, regrets, and the constant what if. This internal dialogue, which never silences, drags us into an emotional storm that seems inescapable. But the Stoics teach us that it is precisely there, in this whirlwind, that we can find a strength that many do not know. Inner silence, that deep place within us where, even in the midst of external chaos, we can find peace. Imagine being in a room full of people, each one speaking louder than the other. It's like our mind on days of worry and stress. Now imagine that suddenly you can press a magic button and all those sounds begin to disappear. Gradually, the room becomes silent. You're no longer reacting to the chaos around you. You are at peace, calm, in control. That is the power of inner silence. The Stoics, more than 2,000 years ago, already knew that we cannot control the noise of the external world, but we can control how we connect to our internal world. And that is where true calm resides. True strength. Our mind often behaves like a wild horse, jumping from one thought to another, without control, without direction. It's as if we're always fighting against this endless flow of ideas and emotions. But when you learn to slow down, to silence the inner chaos, something magical happens. You become unshakable. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. He led armies, faced betrayals, plagues, wars, but in his writings what he sought most wasn't to win external battles, but internal ones. He knew that the greatest battlefield wasn't the physical territory, but the mind. And that's why, in his moments of greatest pressure, he turned inward to find inner silence. It was there that he found calm, clarity, and the strength to move forward. And this is something that we can all do. We all have the ability to silence the mind, to find that place of tranquility within ourselves. And when you achieve this, you realize that no external noise, no situation, no person can shake you. Because true calm comes from within. This inner silence is not just a state of meditation, it's a daily practice. It's when you're in the middle of an argument and decide not to react impulsively. It's when you're worried about the future and instead of getting lost in anxieties, you focus on the now, on the present. It's when everything is falling apart around you, but you remain calm because you know you have control over yourself. And here's the big secret. Inner silence is a choice. It's not something that happens by accident. It is cultivated. Every time you choose not to react to the chaos, every time you decide not to be carried away by the storm of thoughts, you're strengthening this practice. And over time, inner silence becomes your greatest source of power. Because in the end, what the world constantly tries to take from us is not just external peace, but our internal peace. And the Stoics show us that no one, absolutely no one, can take that from you, unless you allow it. So, the next time you find yourself in the middle of a mental storm, remember this: you have the power to press the silence button, to turn inward and find that peace that the external world can never touch. When you manage to do that, you discover a strength that few know. A strength that, contrary to what many think, doesn't shout, doesn't exalt itself. It is quiet but unbreakable. This is the true secret of the Stoics. And it is a lesson that, if you apply in your life, will completely transform the way you deal with stress, with pressures, with challenges. Because in the end, calmness, true calmness, is not something that comes from the outside. It's already within you, waiting to be discovered. Lesson 6. Now is all you have. Have you noticed how we spend most of our time thinking about what's yet to come, or what's already behind us? We get caught up in the anxiety of the future, imagining what might happen, dreaming of moments that haven't arrived yet. Or we find ourselves reliving the past, regretting what we could have done differently, what we should have said, what we should have avoided. It's as if we are always waiting for some perfect moment, some magical instant that will bring the peace and happiness we seek. But what the Stoics teach us is something completely different. They teach us that now is all you have. The future, it doesn't exist yet. And the past, it's already gone. All you truly have, all you can touch, feel, and live is happening now, in this exact moment. The truth is, that perfect moment you're waiting for will never arrive if you don't learn to live fully in the present. Think about it. How many times have you anxiously awaited a special occasion, a date, a trip, a promotion at work, something you thought would change everything? And when that moment finally arrived, it was never exactly how you imagined it. Because while you were trapped in expectations of the future, life was passing right before your eyes, and you were missing out on living the only moment that truly matters, now. The Stoics knew that the key to calm and inner peace lies in embracing the present, in accepting each second as it is. Marcus Aurelius, the great philosopher-emperor, wrote that life is a moment, and that we should live each moment as if it were the last. It's not about living in fear of death or thinking everything will end at any instant, but rather recognizing that the only thing that truly exists is this exact moment. What you do with it defines your life. If you keep living for tomorrow, if you keep waiting for the right moment to start something, to be happy, to finally relax, you'll realize too late that you've wasted the only thing you truly had, the present. And that's what the Stoics warn us about. Live now, not tomorrow, not when all conditions are perfect, but now, with everything you have, with everything you are. And do you know what's most liberating about this? When you stop worrying about what will happen tomorrow, when you let go of the grudges from the past, you realize something very powerful. Calm becomes your natural state. Because suddenly, you're no longer fighting against time. You're no longer chasing something that hasn't arrived yet. You're present. And in this state of presence, in this state of total acceptance of the now, you find a peace that no external circumstance can steal. Imagine living like that. Imagine waking up in the morning, and instead of worrying about all the commitments ahead, you simply appreciate the moment of being alive, of feeling the sun on your skin, the air in your lungs. Imagine being in a difficult situation, a work problem, a family argument, but instead of getting lost in thoughts about how things could be different or what will happen next, you focus only on what you can do right now. That's living in the now. That's being present. Living in the now is the secret to true calm. Because when you're present, when you're fully aware of what's happening here and now, anxiety loses its power, fear of the future disappears, regret from the past dissolves. All that remains is the clarity of the present moment, and it's there that you find serenity. So stop for a moment, take a deep breath, feel the now, because now is the only thing you truly have. Lesson 7. Peace comes from confidence in yourself. True peace, the kind that remains unshakable, even in the face of the greatest challenges, comes from a deep, intimate place that is often forgotten: confidence in yourself. The Stoics understood centuries ago that the foundation of serenity lies in the firmness of knowing who you are and in the unbreakable commitment to live according to your own values. Imagine this: a world full of noise, people telling you what to do, pressuring you to be something you're not. The expectations of society, of others, the voices coming from all sides, trying to shape who you should be. And then, in the midst of all this chaos, a person stands firm, calm, not swayed by these external influences. A person who doesn't need anyone else's approval because they've found something far more powerful within themselves: the certainty of their own principles. Confidence in yourself is not arrogance. It's not the need to prove yourself to the world. On the contrary, it's the certainty that, regardless of what the world thinks or says, you are living according to what is right for you. It's having an inner compass, a set of values that guide you, even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Marcus Aurelius, the great philosopher-emperor, ruled an empire, faced wars, plagues, and crises, but he never lost his calm. Do you know why? Because he had this unshakable confidence in his own values. He knew who he was, what he believed in, and he didn't allow external circumstances to dictate his emotions. Now think about your own life. How many times have you lost yourself in the expectations of others? How many times have you allowed someone else's opinion to steal your peace, to divert you from your path? The Stoics teach us that this is the greatest source of unrest, when we seek our validation externally, in the hands of others, instead of internally, in our own conscience. True peace is only possible when you have the confidence that you are walking your own path, according to your own values. First, you need to know yourself deeply. Know who you are, what drives you, and what your principles are. I'm not talking about the masks we wear every day to please others, to be accepted. I'm talking about who you really are when you're alone, in silence, with no one to impress. Who are you truly? What is important to you? What are the values that guide your life? Answering these questions can be uncomfortable. You might realize that many of the things you do, the choices you make, aren't truly yours but are reflections of what you believe others expect of you. And that's where the work begins, the work of aligning your life with your values. This may mean saying no more often. It may mean letting go of certain societal expectations, certain external opinions that keep you trapped in a cycle of anxiety and doubt. And most importantly, it may mean learning to trust your own judgment. Because here's the secret: no one knows you better than you know yourself. And when you start to trust this inner wisdom, this voice that knows what's right for you, the external voices begin to lose their power. Criticism, judgment, pressure, all of that becomes background noise. You remain calm, centered, confident. Because at the end of the day, what matters is the opinion you have of yourself. It's knowing that you are living in harmony with your principles, with your truth. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, said that the greatest tranquility comes from inner freedom. And what is this freedom if not confidence in yourself? When you don't depend on anyone else's approval to feel good, when you know you are doing what's right, you are free. Free from fear, free from doubt, free from the need to conform to standards that aren't yours. But don't be mistaken. This confidence is not something that arises overnight. It's built step by step, choice by choice. Every time you act according to your values, every time you say yes to what's important and no to what's not, this confidence grows. And over time, it becomes a fortress within you. A fortress that protects you from life's storms. Imagine living like that. Imagine facing challenges, failures, criticisms with the tranquility of someone who knows they're on the right path. You don't need to be perfect. No one does. But confidence in yourself gives you the assurance that, despite the mistakes and failures, you are doing the best you can with the tools you have. And that's enough. The Stoics teach us that the secret to calm, to peace, is living according to our principles, with integrity, with truth. When you do that, the external world loses the power to destabilize you. And it's there that you find true serenity. If you've made it this far, it tells me something very important. You are committed. Committed to your growth, your tranquility, and the pursuit of a more serene and balanced life. And that's the first great step, recognizing that you have the power to change, to find calm amid chaos. If these Stoic lessons resonated with you, subscribe to the channel right now. That way you ensure that you'll receive more content that will strengthen your mind and soul. If you watched until the end, comment the phrase, calm and power, here in the comments. By doing this, you show that you're willing to go further, to not just learn but act. Commenting this phrase is your way of saying, I am ready to live with more calm, more balance, and more confidence in myself. And remember, the journey to serenity starts now. And with this simple action, you've already taken the most important step. I'll see you in the next videos, and until then, continue cultivating serenity within yourself, because it's there, inside you, that true strength is found.